I have to tell you, I'm a little bit obsessed with you because I had one conversation with you and I had to turn it into like three more. And I just really love the way that you think. But on top of that, I like who you are as a person. I really, really, really admire who you are completely outside of our work stuff. You have fascinating hobbies. The picture of you with the horse that you sent in with the OIG roundtable shirt
Yeah.
was awesome. I could not even believe that was real life you. So let's start there because, I always talk about Long Island, the library, blah, blah. I only think of things the way that I think of them. I don't think of things like that. So tell me, you're from Nebraska, you live in Nebraska. Tell me about these beautiful pets of yours, these animals. Tell me about that whole thing. How'd that come to be?
Sure. So my daughter is really interested in horseback riding when she was younger, and we got connected with this beautiful farm here in Nebraska. It's actually in Wilbur, Nebraska, Thunderstruck Farms, and they rescue any type of animal and just take in all these horses, donkeys, dogs, cats, chickens. And we just love it out there. It's free and we get to volunteer and help. And so we've been out there about 11 years. But mhm.
What kind of stuff are you doing to volunteer? Are you cleaning things? What are you doing?
Yeah, you can leave there pretty dirty. We're cleaning a lot of stalls. We wash the horses, brush them. We get them ready to get their hooves trimmed. And some of the little horses need to be taken on long walks. So it's kind of like walking a dog, but it's pretty entertaining. A lot of stuff goes on out there.
That's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Tell me about your other hobbies because I had worked on your profile and I read these other hobbies and I said, "Oh my goodness, she is interested in all the cool things." Like I admire it. I wish I was like that. What else do you do for fun?
I love to garden and watch things grow, and obviously some don't make it and die, but I love it when they grow and make it. And I love to work out. So I work out at the gym with a weightlifting crew, and we're talking about our protein, electrolytes, all the good stuff. So I love that crew as well. And I'm a mom, and I also love to bake and cook, try new recipes. So I make a lot of sourdough bread, my honey rolls, biscuits, cheesecake, all that good stuff.
I'm going to introduce you to a company called MSI. It was originally known as Market Smith. There is a person there, a leader there, who she's been really into making sourdough. So she was telling me, I've been following her Instagram. I get hungry every time I look at it. I'm going to introduce you for that. And then it's interesting because the founder of this company is very much into rescue animals and does a
Oh,
lot of volunteering. The entire her mission in life, honestly, I think is just to make the world a better place.
mhm.
And I've seen her do this for all the year. I know her probably 15 years now. I've seen her do it every day with people constantly. So I'll send you some of their stuff so you could take a look at them.
Yeah, I would love that.
And I need to connect you with another Jersey person. So those ladies are in Jersey. There's another Jersey person on our team, Michelle Delinsky. She is the most fitness, like, oh my goodness. She works out every single day, no matter what. And I
Yeah.
asked her, I said, tell me how you do that. Because so many days you don't feel like it when it's cold,
Yeah.
rainy, whatever. And this is just part of who she's been her entire life. And it's funny because I see that in her work. And I think that's funny because your personal life sometimes comes into your work the way that you are. Well, she is very much about applying the right kind of training and refining and getting better. I've seen her do this now, 3, 4 roles of that she's been in,
Hmm.
3, 4 different positions. I say that because role is also in jujitsu and she's a black belt, which she's
Oh,
the
wow.
first black belt female that I've ever known. I'm just like, wow, Michelle, you're incredible. So I listened to you about gardening. I listened to you about your interests. I know that you like to see things grow, you like to see things get better,
Mhm.
improve, and you have a tremendous care around that because I've been watching you work and getting to know you. When we talk about healthcare, I know Advize has focused quite a bit on payer, like messaging around payer work and insurance company audits, investigations. But there's such a huge component of Advize where we actually focus on compliance, provider compliance. How do we help the providers? And some people might think, well, whose side are you on? And we've had this conversation over the years of we're on the side of the patient. We really want to sit on the fence and be completely, how do we help patients have better care? So your background is quite interesting because you didn't just come up through payer like some of the people around here. You actually came over from provider side. I've been reading some of your writing and it's wonderful. So tell me a little bit more about your background, please.
Yeah, so I actually have about 12 years where I was a supervisor or manager role in revenue cycle management. And, it takes kind of a special, you might say, coffee blend of that to make it successful, where it's a mixture of technology, talent, adaptability to be able to succeed, right? Because policies are ever changing. You have to have people on your team who are willing to investigate and research things to make sure your company is doing the right things for your specialty. And so that's really kind of what prompted me into that, and just the love for it is you can actually see change and you can track your change and see growth. And that's what prompted me to write the APC article on it, because I noticed how many things were missing when I'd come to clean up these systems. And it just takes a little tweaking, and just a little bit different change in mindset can do a lot.
So I love Covey. Their book like a million years ago. There's some old business books. People make jokes of like who moved your cheese, whatever, all of those business books. But I like the Covey begin with the end in mind. So this habits for a successful person. And which I totally butchered all of that, but my long-winded point is I like the idea of starting for success from the beginning and putting it together. What do you think from your RCM background? What do you think is required for a provider to do the right thing so that they don't end up in audit, don't end up having all the denial issues? What do you think is required?
So I can just hit a couple bullet points on that, Jean-Marie, but one big thing is when you sit down, and you look at your company goals and objectives, don't lose sight of that. Don't lose sight of the foundation. I see this happen so often when we grow. Keep your objectives centered around every decision that you make. And then also hire different skill sets. There's so many people that add value from different perspectives that I feel like are often overlooked on resumes. And I truly feel that everyone brings a special gift, and it's up to us to figure out what that is and then incorporate it in the team somehow. I mean, obviously you're going to be hiring for your specialty role, but look beyond that. And then providers need to make sure that, the system that they have working for them is good for their practice and it supports your objective and what you're doing, because a lot of these software companies will come out and sell you the newest and greatest, even with AI, but you have to be careful with that because it's not all mastered yet, right? So you want to make sure that you're asking the right questions, that you're doing demos, and that you make sure it falls in line with what you're doing. And then look for workflow efficiencies, because the newest trend is, right, everything can be automated. Well, that's actually not true. And a lot of payers don't want you automating things such as reconsiderations, appeals, because you're going to need more information in those to be successful. So figure out the workflows with these, keep a spreadsheet of what's working, what's not, so your team can go back and adjust, and then, keep the ones automating that can, and then go back, and the ones that can't be automated, have a select team to work those. And then I'd say the biggest thing is really look at trending data, not only just data, but your also business model. So, monitoring coding accuracy, patterns, because, payers are using machines now and they're scanning your claims. And so get ahead of it before they point a finger at you, and know your payer policies. Start looking at, has there been a change in diagnosis codes, right? Because they're always updating those lists on these policies. Are these covered now, not covered? And ensure that you're educating your provider ahead of time so they know that when they're in the room with the patient. Even if you trend data from a business model, you can look at your hiring, your marketing optimization, your sales forecasting. Do you have too many on the sales team? You can bring that back a little bit too. And then I'd say, just with my years of experience, don't be afraid to try new things. Don't be stuck in that old mindset of, well, it's always been done this way. Because in order to grow, I truly feel like you have to have an open mind to things, even with technology, software, even the words that we choose from day to day to be successful. And then the biggest thing where I know you love it too, Jean Marie, is just networking, connecting with people in your own industry, but also go beyond that, which can also be a little bit hard to do, but just making those connections, because you never know when you're going to need someone or need to reach out for, further education. So
It's interesting because as I listen to you, this applies not only to our space, this applies to how to be successful in other industries, but your very valuable words, truly applies to any practice. It applies to people who are there doing coding, people who are doing billing, the insurance company, people who are looking at claims. Can you speak just a little bit to your experience with seeing coding versus billing? Because I think that's one area where I've seen people use this CPC interchangeably with I'm a coder, I'm a biller, I'm an auditor, but there's actually significant differences. So from your lens, with your experience, how would you describe the differences to somebody who's maybe coming in new?
Sure. So with a coder, people can have vast knowledge. So I'm just saying, just baseline education here. You're looking to see if that CPT code, the diagnosis code, matches with what the provider stated, his note, maybe what you heard if you're in the room with them, because that's been the scenario. But in order to actually trend denials and look at coding, you have to have a denial analytical brain. You have to go beyond that, right? So the claim comes back rejected. You're not sure why. Now comes that investigative part. And I will say some people don't want to do that. And that's not really what, makes them happy from day to day. And then you have some people that really want to do that. That's why I say pay attention to your staff and the gifts that they bring to the table, because when you start training data and you put it in a line, you're going to see, wow, this same CPT code seems to be fine, but it has the same diagnosis code. I wonder if that's the problem. Then they're going to go look up the policy, maybe call the payer, which, I could talk a whole hour on that, but that also takes a type of training to get the answer and result that you need to be successful. And then if you do make any changes from that denials analyst perspective, make sure you write it down, you have noted it on your spreadsheet, and then the next claim's going out the door that you're monitoring. And if something is still coming back, then you probably need to reach out to a provider rep and see what's going on.
Perfect. Absolutely perfect. Thank you for sharing that with me. I enjoyed this conversation. I thank you for being open to networking. I believe you are one of our best resources around here for people to reach out to because of your vast knowledge, your experience, and then your willingness to get involved. So you take it from your hobbies all the way through with how you work. It's incredible.
Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
We love you being part of this team. Thank you for being here at Advize.
Thank you so much.
We will chat more soon. Thank you.
Bye-bye.